Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Other crowdfunding sites also exist, however it's on these two sites where we discover some of the greatest indie games that all of gaming has to offer. Games that struggle to get the attention of big name publishers, but thanks to sites like Kickstarter are now readily available to the masses, because the masses believed in those designers, and together those gamers and those games that the gamers helped make lived happily ever after, thanks to Kickstarter. And then of course you got the scams.
I wanna take you for a ride.
Boy oh boy do these sites got some scams on them, you feel me? So much in fact that I've created over 100 videos showcasing them, so that when you use the platform to help old Oliver get his game off the ground, you know what to look for, and hopefully the same thing won't happen to you. And for today's lesson, we're going to be learning how to protect ourselves from thieves. Grifters that take your money and then use that money on other things. And some of those things are utterly insane. So get your notebooks out, because this will be on the test. And let's go back over that back catalogue and find 5 video game Kickstarters that stole from you. Well, actually it's only 4, as the 5th one wasn't a game, but the end result was just way too ridiculous to not include in this video. But guys, before going ahead and looking at the unsuccessful Kickstarters, I want to talk about a successful Kickstarter. Pixel Starships is not only a sponsor I've had on the channel in the past, and not only was it a successful Kickstarter from back in 2015 that kind of reminds me of an FTL game, which is also a brilliantly successful Kickstarter, but unlike most sponsorships, you guys really seem to like this one, and that's why they've come back to sponsor the show once again. And since last time, they've added a huge update with bigger and more devastating items for you to play around with. For those that don't know, Pixel Starships is a build and manage your own starship MMO type game, where you, the player, gets to control every aspect of your ship, from the power system to the crew to the mining for the resources to the battles. You can trade or battle with other real world players, and best of all, not only is it a game that you can play on your mobile while sitting on the bog, but you can also play it on your PC in bed too. That is, if your bed has a PC. Also, whilst you're on your obscure gaming bed setup, make sure to check out the Steam rating for this game. After all, this is a sponsored video. The reason this game is rated so well on Steam, and the reason for the sponsorship doing so well last time with you guys, is because Pixel Starships is not, and I repeat not, a pay-to-win game. So if you want to master the RPG elements found in here, and you want to work out which characters and or rooms are best to upgrade before others in this super addictive and constantly updated Kickstarted game, then make sure you click my link down below and get yourself $100 worth of free Starbucks, and then enter promo code SLOPES125, that's SLOPES125, to get an additional 125 Starbucks too. Thanks to all you guys watching for supporting the show, but now let's go look at some, well, not so great looking Kickstarters, shall we? I'm sorry everybody, but it's time to bring up the Kinect. Who needs controllers? You are the controller. A system designed because doing this is 100% going to be way more accurate than doing this. Don't laugh, we all fell for it, and some people actually enjoyed it. Well, what if you were someone that actually wanted more? You didn't want to control a game with your body, you wanted to control a game with your eyes. The Nuia Eyecharm connector eye tracking was a $50 to $60 attachment that you place on top of your standard Kinect camera, plug it into your PC, and do such wondrous things as open up the start menu of your desktop, play Angry Birds, or draw pictures of Quentin Tarantino. And by the way, Angry Birds isn't the only game that you can play with this thing. Come on, seriously? Are you trying to tell me that this eye camera is actually going to be that precise? Obviously, it's not. I bet you're thinking that nobody's going to be falling for this one, right? Well, Actually, 1,390 people did bring the grand total slightly above its $100,000 target, making it the most popular German Kickstarter ever for the time. The campaign was very active during its funding days, but as soon as it did hit that goal, as expected, the updates definitely slowed down a fair bit. Literally months fell off the calendar, even went past the expected release date of July without a single word. August came and went and backers started getting hold of the company's emails and phone numbers, but still, they never got a response. One backer even went as far as to drive an hour to their offices to see the guy that he saw in the campaign, and when he did, he got brushed aside saying, "Now's not a good time, I have to go to a meeting." The company was logging in every so often so they could see the endless amounts of angry backers' comments simply waiting for an update, but they never gave one. That was until August the 8th when it was reported that an unknown company was suing them for copyright infringement. You see, eye tracking isn't exactly anything new, and one of the many companies that have tackled this in the past is now apparently suing the company if they go ahead with this. Of course, speculation on whether this was actually true was rampant in the comment section, especially considering no name on who this company was ever given, and yet another couple of months fell off the calendar until they came back apologising again for the delay, but stating that they are finally happy to release the Xbox Kinect add-on. Yet, nothing happened. The software did eventually get dropped into the hands of backers, and for those intelligent enough to actually unpack it and use it for themselves, they quickly realised that it was a load of crap. In fact, the freeware software that's out there for eye tracking stuff was far better than this crap. And shortly after, the company filed for bankruptcy. And that's it. Literally nothing was ever shipped out, besides some homemade software that was as good as free software, and therefore in the eyes of Kickstarter, they apparently delivered. Thanks backers for the 100,000 euros. I'm sure that money had nothing to do with the company starting up again and not even hiding the fact that they are a different company. Literally, they're using the exact same name, offering pretty much the same product. More eye tracking software, and I'm sure we can all agree that it's probably going to be better this time round. Thanks of course to the generous donations, because let's be honest, it's donations, of 1,390 confused Kickstarter backers.
With Nuia Full Focus, I build trust, even when we can't meet in person. So if you're interested now in trying it out for yourself, that thing with the eye contact has already worked out quite well.
Mansion Lord. If there was ever a better example of Kickstarters running away with your money, well, I've never seen one. And because of this is easily going to be one of the quickest submissions on the show. So, here we go. November 19th, 2013, this quality little Kickstarter was made, and it looked good. A murder mystery business sim with tile-based world building and turn-based RPG content. On the first day of the Kickstarter going live, it reached a healthy 10% of its goal. The campaign continued to build momentum at a nice steady rate, getting regular updates from the developers and even getting greenlit on Steam on December 5th of the same year. Absolutely fantastic news, let's get you funded! Need 14,000 more, spread the word people! Woohoo! That's great news, still 13 days to go, hopefully we can get quite a way past the funding goal. Later that month, 6 days before Christmas Day, the campaign ended on $30,788 from 1,104 backers of its $28,000 goal. We did it! Over 1,100 generous backers have just made Mansion Lord a possibility. We at Golgum Games thank everybody from the bottom of our hearts. Our dream project will now become a reality. The outpouring of support and encouragement from all of you during this past week has been amazing. In the coming days, we'll send out backer surveys to determine how you wish to receive your backer rewards. Finally, to continue progress towards some of these juicier stretch goals, we will be announcing additional post-Kickstarter ways to contribute to the project. And that's exactly what they did. A PayPal was quickly set up to help get even more funds for this humble little title. Great news! That PayPal link also had a timer on it, and on August the 11th, 2014, the devs gave one final week for newcomers to be able to pledge, and that's it. They're gone. Disappeared. Vanished. No longer contactable and never ever to be seen again. 100% a scam. There's nothing else to it. Nameless developers claiming to work at nameless game companies that probably didn't even exist. There's no pictures of anyone involved, no address, and absolutely no way of contacting them. Seriously, that is it. A quick get in, take the money and run before anybody asks any questions. Not the biggest amount of money ever, but probably the most open and shut case that I've ever covered. So, I suppose we should probably move on to the next one, shall we? Who remembers Pokemon Go? I kid. Even I, a proper Pokemon gaming virgin, got a little hooked onto this thing back in the day, and from what I can tell, people are still playing easily Nintendo's most popular application to this day. The ability to be able to see your Pokemon in the real world and actually catch them is mind-blowing for Pokemon fans, no doubt, but sadly, it doesn't take too long before the novelty of seeing a floating low-poly Pokemon and flicking them just isn't quite the same experience as catching them with your very own proper Pokeball like they do in the games and the TV shows. Well, that's where the official Pokeball comes into play.
We've all seen it. The app everyone's playing. It has taken the world by storm. Hi, I'm Ryan, and I've been blown away by how groundbreaking this app has become. So we wanted to think of a way that we could take this app to the next level and make it even more of a reality by creating a remote. So we got our team of engineers together and we developed a kinetic connective device that pairs with the app. And no longer do you have to flick your finger on your phone, but now you can throw a real ball and catch them the way they were meant to be caught.
So obviously I don't need to explain to you guys what exactly happened here, do I? You see, even though a meeting was being had with Nintendo, and they did show interest, but that's as far as it went. Obviously getting something like this off the ground officially would have taken many more meetings than just the one they supposedly had, not just with Nintendo, but with the Pokemon Company and the application's creators, Niantic too. As stated, these meetings only really just started to get going, and as expected, Nintendo asked the campaign owners not to continue with the project during the campaign's life. At this point, the campaign had already shown up on random blogs and news sites all over the internet, as well as getting a little bit of TV coverage too. And even though a private message was sent out to all, vaguely explaining the situation and claiming that they still have the possibility to get it to work with Pokemon Go via open source, they did somehow still manage to just about hit target. The campaign's video and description was changed to remove any branding of Nintendo related products as instructed, but the goal of $25,000 had already been hit by this point by 685 backers, getting up to a shade under $40,000. As expected, those that actually knew that this had happened and read that email were not at all pleased, and the removal of pledges came in fast after that private message was sent out. As stated, the campaign still did hit its goal, and now it's got nothing to do with Pokemon, but instead you get to go bowling and shoot zombies with laser beams. Also, you will notice that this new update also comes with a VR headset, which is completely free to everyone that backs to get the original Pokemon Ball. Well, I say free, and just like Gamer Reality, I'm lying. I pledged $35 for the Pokeball that was compatible with Pokemon Go. I am a college student, so I don't have time to keep track of this project. Up until today, I was under the impression that we were still getting what we were promised. I was charged $42 for a ball and a headset. I do not want these. This is not what I signed up for. I would like to receive a refund. Oh, come on, Andrew. It's only $7 extra, and sure, you might not get the games that you paid for or even want, but look at this slick headset. I bet that's worth a few bob, right? Maybe not. So what's the final outcome here then? Nothing. Even though they offered something completely different than what was originally pitched, nothing has happened here whatsoever. And the expected ship date of February 2017 came and went with nobody getting anything. Well, that was an easy 28k, wasn't it? I suppose it's time to start using that hashtag again, isn't it?
Hello everyone, so this is going to be the worst video I've ever had to make, but as you can probably see from the title, Ant Simulator is going to be cancelled.
Hold up a minute, this one shouldn't actually be on this list, but I'm putting it in there anyway, as it still does sort of have something to do with Kickstarter. Okay, so Ultimate Game Dev Tutorials was a Kickstarter that teached you how to make your first video game. It raised $4,459 from 149 backers of a $4,000 goal, and featured this guy.
Hello, my name's Eric Tershinsky, but probably most people on the internet know me as Etiski.
Eric is a big believer in creating video games using free software and teaching you guys how to make them too. By backing this Kickstarter, Eric will show you how to create everything live and give you tutorials, either via PDF or video form, or even both. These will show you how to make the game so you can make games yourself. It's a big project, which is why he got help from two childhood friends, Devon Staley and Tyler Montz. These guys were brought in to help with the finances and other areas of the project. On the lead up to the final game, Eric would actually do these quite ingenious jam sessions, where you could actually watch him live quickly make a video game from scratch. One of these ideas was a game called Ant Simulator. Now, most of these games are a little throwaway, made for the sole purpose to gain a bit of interest in the project. But Ant Simulator was something else, and it was gaining attention. So much attention that Eric decided to split his time between the now funded tutorial series and actually turning that little Ant Simulator game into a fully fledged game. Now, Ant Simulator didn't actually go to Kickstarter, but instead it was funded by a friend of Eric's. For how much? Well, only those involved know. However, it is predicted it wasn't much more than a couple of thousand. Anyway, Ant Simulator was actually coming along nicely. Eric said the game had 10,000 hours work already done on it, and even claimed to be putting in his own money from his part-time job to help stretch out his funds that little bit further. So yeah, all is good. Season 1 of those tutorial videos from the Kickstarter campaign came out, backers were happy, and Eric started working on the next season of tutorial videos, as well as Ant Simulator at the same time. Which brings us back to where we left off. On January 30th, 2016, Eric uploaded to his personal YouTube channel the video that we spoke about at the beginning.
I can't work on Ant Simulator anymore. I recently found out that my ex-business partners were secretly stealing company money. They had secretly spent the overwhelming majority of both our Kickstarter money and the Ant Simulator investment money on liquor, restaurants, bars, and even strippers.
I think this video explains the situation a lot better than I could. If you want to see the full video, then click the link in the description. But is that it? Well, not really. As you can expect, there are two different sides to this story. Montz and Staley apparently invested a combined total of $5,000, and they claim that that was even more than what Eric put in the first place. And then obviously he had that smaller investor I spoke of earlier. They also completely denied the claim, saying that it was completely false. I don't know why he's painting that picture, but the reality is that anything that we spent in a bar or restaurant was very reasonable in nature when you look at any business, including video game companies. It was part of our operating budget, it's not anything that was excessive, it was all reported to the IRS, the picture he's painting about us is 100% bullshit. He took control of not only all the company's physical properties, our bank accounts, our social media accounts, our website, which he changed to just being our faces for some unknown reason. That was all him. This all started to take place right after the game started to get really popular late in the summer. My personal theory is that he wanted to take it all for himself and cut us out of it. We made it clear that we weren't going to let him do that because we had a moral and legal right not to. The two go on to explain that the game actually wasn't just made by Eric either, and instead had a group of about 10 people, all of which were paid in full by the duo. I think he wanted to create this outlandish story, grab headlines and make us look terrible. So far, it's working for him. Okay, so this is very much a case of whose side are you on? Did the duo spend it all on drinks and strippers, or did Eric want to take all the glory for himself? Thankfully, whatever happened in this instance, it has easily suffered the least amount of Kickstarter casualties. It's not every day on Kickscammers that we get told by the con artists themselves that they not only stole your money, but also how much exactly they stole, how they did it, and genuine evidence was given. Not on some random The Register like website, but in a Kickstarter update itself. In all of my years of covering Kickstarter scams, I have never come across an easier scam to cover than the Peachy Printer. Heck, they even gave you a link to report them if you wanted, detailed accounts explaining how they did it, and they invited free backers and told them to their face on camera. But hold up, I think we're in fact getting a little ahead of ourselves, guys. Let's look at what the Peachy Printer actually is.
In my hands is the Peachy Printer, the world's first $100 3D printer. With practically unlimited build volume, extremely high resolution, and a new inexpensive resin, it's by far the world's smallest 3D printer, making it truly lightweight and portable. And on top of all that, when combined with the camera, it will be a 3D scanner too.
So besides the trailer having more annoying camera angles than a playthrough of Sonic 06, the campaign seemed pretty legit. What Ryan Grayston had made was a pretty convincing 3D printer, completely different than all 3D printers for the time as far as I'm aware. Using old objects found around his house, slowly dripping salt water would make a top layer of resin rise up, whilst the meat of the machine, this tiny little metal square thing, would somehow laser into that resin to build whatever you've just designed on your laptop. Look, I mean, I don't claim to know exactly how this works, but I do believe that he made this. Even now, it's a bit of a mess, but for hacker fans around the world looking for a cheap 3D printing alternative, this seemed like a good project to back. Besides upgrading it and making it more user-friendly, it quite literally was already a working prototype as seen multiple times on the Kickstarter's own YouTube channel and the endless amounts of updates even after the campaign was completed. They raised $651,091 Canadian dollars of a $50,000 campaign by 4,420 backers, and a further 74,167 Canadian dollars from 658 backers on Indiegogo. Plus, if what Ryan is telling us is true, they also had an outside investment as well. And again, I believe him. The whole thing started up in September of 2013 with a staggered release date of July the following year, and as you may have guessed, that release date got thrown out of the window as several issues arose. Honestly, that's to be expected with an advanced dodge job like this cheap 3D printer, but in Ryan's defense, he did update backers fairly frequently. Sure, it wasn't always good news, and obviously I'm not saying that any of this is actually good, but at least he did do that. My guess is that people that back this sort of thing would be interested in hearing what he has to say, interested in the ups and the downs of a project like this. So you know, for now, we will at least pat him on the back for this one thing. There's really no point in showcasing any of it here, as it's just endless updates of slow shipments, slight advancements as to what they were making, and of course, as time went on, excuse after excuse after excuse as to why it's getting delayed. And then suddenly on May the 11th, 2016, we got the update, big bad news. Now guys, I'm playing this video with as little editing as possible. No added music, no fancy special effects, nothing like that. If you was a backer of this project back then, this is how you found out that you just got scammed. Let's press play.
Hello?
Hey,
I just got out, actually. I was just going to call you, so.
Dave, the story that you've been telling me is, for like a month now, is that the banks that you've got, 200 grand sitting in the bank that you can't touch. Right?
$200 grand in security, yeah?
Is that true?
No.
What happened with the Peachy printer money? That day on the phone, I found out that David Bowe, my business partner, had stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars of backers' money. David agreed to do an interview with us for the day that we would tell you about this massive problem. So now, I'd like to let David speak for his own actions. Hey backers, it's Rylan here. I have some really bad news that I've got to share with you today. So let me introduce David Bowe. David has been a part of Peachy Printer for over 2 years now. In the very first video that we posted, in our campaign video, I explained that I had spent $10,000 developing Peachy Printer. Dave is the one that funded that development. That was his $10,000, and I used that money to get the project to a place where we were ready to launch it on the crowdfunding sites. So, without further ado, what has happened, David?
Well, I'm sorry, but I went and spent approximately $250,000 of our Kickstarter money on building my house. It's something that I've done that I regret, and I'm sorry for doing it.
So, they decided to turn this into some weird Netflix documentary type trailer. The amount of effort put into this video is absolutely absurd. It's unthinkable, it's just so strange. But on top of that, as stated, he invited 3 backers of the project and told them to their face, filming their reactions and showing it to you guys.
I have invited you here today because you're a backer. Cool. And I have something. I know you're expecting good news, and I have really, really bad news. Uh-oh. Yeah. And I really want the opportunity to tell backers to their faces, So I know a few of you guys from here in Saskatoon, and that's what I'm about to do.
All right, go for it.
So I'll just come straight out with it. I have a business partner, or had a business partner.
Okay.
And he stole $320,000 from the Kickstarter money, and it's gone. He built a house with it.
What?
And I didn't find out until a year into the campaign, and ever since then I've been trying to piece this thing back together and get it back on its feet, and I don't know if that's possible right now.
That's real rough.
This is the house that David, the partner that stole the money, had built, or at least partially built. Here is the most detailed list of evidence I've ever seen on a failed campaign, showcasing every little thing that went wrong. And finally, here is the survey that you, the backer, need to fill out to give your opinion on what to do. Do they set up a GoFundMe to get lawyers to fight against David? Do they set up a GoFundMe to simply just get backers their rewards? Or do they leave it to the justice system of Canada to sort out? How odd is this? This whole thing is just so confusing to unfold. As you dig deeper, you discover that the stolen money was actually taken by David to finish up his house, which when done, he could actually get the money back into the project before anyone had even noticed it was gone. Those plans fell through, obviously, and therefore this recorded interview was done a couple of years prior to the backers being shown it, with the agreement that it would only ever be shown if David wasn't able to pay back the full amount before the agreed upon date. Considering how detailed this thing is, annoyingly, the dates don't exactly line up, and according to Ryan, that was a simple mistake. This entire thing is just baffling, and since then very little has ever happened besides a couple of updates later that year, with the final update ending with a statement saying that the entire Peachy Printer team had been let go and the headquarters had closed down due to running out of money. He did state that he would continue to work on it in his own time, but didn't hold out much hope as to how this whole thing would ever be finished. That was back in 2016, and since then nothing has ever happened again off the back of this project. As far as we can tell, Ryan has completely given up on the project, with the website going under and David, the original investor, supposedly still living in his stolen mansion that Kickstarter backers paid for. Thanks, guys. The real question that I have about this whole thing is, was Ryan involved? Did he simply give so much evidence that police wouldn't even need to start looking into it because, you know, it's right here? Because at the end of the day, everything he's given hasn't actually resulted in any major arrests. The only thing we do know for sure is that all of the money raised is gone. Will we ever see this 3D printer? Well, no. The only thing that we do have is all of the documents on how to make one ourselves, which, according to the subreddit, no one's ever done and at least recorded that they've done it. But still, at least someone got something out of it, eh?